Hello students, I am Pialina, your biology teacher, and I welcome you all to the biology e-learning classes. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Today we will start with the topic transcription. In my last videos, we have already gone through that DNA is the genetic material. We have gone through the various experimental proofs, the Hershey and Chase experiment, and also the various nature of DNA, among which was the first one was that the DNA is semi-conservative in nature. And we also have gone through the various steps of DNA replication, how the DNA actually replicates. Today we will be starting with transcription. Now, what does the term actually transcription means? It means that the process of copying the genetic information from one's DNA strand into the RNA strand. That means the DNA is being converted to RNA, particularly mRNA, that is the messenger RNA. Okay, the principle of the complementarity which governs the process, this process actually is the same, but since it is being converted into RNA, adenosine combines with the uracil and guanine as usual combines with the cytosine. But in case of adenosine, instead of thymine, it combines with uracil. Okay. Now, unlike replication, only a single stranded fragment of DNA is being copied to RNA. That means one single strand of DNA will act as template for transcription. We have already gone through what does the term template mean. Okay. Now, why only one strand will act as template? Why not both the strands? Because in case of replication, we have seen that both the strands of DNA act as template. But in case of transcription, only one strand acts as template. There are two reasons for this. Okay. The first reason is that if the RNA which is being produced, the RNA which is being produced simultaneously, which will be complementary to each other both for both the strands, DNA strands. If both the strands of DNA act as templates, the complementary RNA will be produced will be complementary to each other itself, right? So they will have a tendency to bind. But this binding is actually a stop. This stops the next step for protein synthesis, that is the process of translation. So, to prevent this complementarity of RNA molecule, the only one strand acts as DNA template. The second reason is that if both strands act as a template, they would code for the RNA molecule with different sequences, right? But also, if they code for proteins, the sequence of amino acid in the proteins will also be different. Obviously, one protein can never have the different sequence of amino acid. So this will create a great confusion, as well as it will make the process more complex. So both the strands of DNA does not act as template. Okay. Now, coming back to the transcription, first we will go through the transcription unit. The transcription unit of DNA actually contains three regions. Okay. The first is the promoter, which is the binding site for the RNA polymerase for initiation of transcription. Okay. The next is the structural gene, and which codes for the enzyme or protein for structural functions. And last is the terminator sequence, which is the region where actually transcription ends. Now, what are the enzymes which are involved in transcription? The first, the enzyme, the most important enzyme which is being involved in transcription is the DNA dependent RNA polymerase, which helps in DNA replication by catalyzing the polymerization, but only in the direction 5 dash to 3 dash. That means this enzyme has the capacity to move only in 5 dash to 3 dash region. Okay. Next is the DNA strand that has the polarity 3 dash to 5 dash, which only acts as template and also is referred to as the template strand. But both the strands have both the ends, right? So which one will be the template strand? It actually depends on the sequence of the presence of the sequence of the promoter and terminator. The between portion is the if you see the structure, the promoter and between the promoter and terminator, it is the structural gene, that means the portion which actually will be transcribed. If the promoter is present at the upstream means in front, that means in the left hand side, then the template will be the blue strand, right? And if the promoter is present in the downstream, that means at the back side, and terminator in the right hand side, then the template will be the green strand. This is actually the template, which strand will act as template actually depends on the presence of the sequence of promoter and terminator regions. Okay. Now the promoter is usually located towards 5 dash end, upstream of the structural gene of the coding strands, and it also provides the binding site for the enzyme RNA polymerase. While the sequence of the DNA located towards the 3 dash end, which is the downstream of the coding strand where the process of transcription would stop, and it is called the terminator. Now which is the coding strand? One is the template strand, and the strand which is not been transcribed is the coding strand. The template strand and the coding strand. Okay. Now coming to the transcription unit and the gene. Okay. So the segment of the DNA coding for a polypeptide is usually called the cistron. But in case of eukaryotes, the transcription unit possesses a structural gene specific only for a single polypeptide, and which is called monocistronic, right? But in case of prokaryotes, the transcription unit actually possesses the structural gene and many structural genes. That's why it is polycistronic. The gene in the eukaryotes can be split into the coding or the express sequence of DNA, which is actually called the exon and the intron, which falls under the post-transcriptional modifications, which we will go through later on. Now we will come to the details of the transcription. Okay, the process of transcription. First we will go through the transcription in prokaryotes. In case of prokaryotes, the structural gene is actually polycistronic and is continuous. There are no subdivisions of the DNA. Okay, but in case of bacteria, the transcription of all the three types of RNA, that is the mRNA, which is the messenger RNA, the transfer RNA or the tRNA, and the ribosomal RNA or the rRNA, is catalyzed by a single DNA dependent enzyme, which is the RNA polymerase. In case of E. coli bacterium, the RNA polymerase has 5 cofactors: beta, beta dash, alpha, alpha dash and omega, along with the sigma factor to catalyze this process. But these factors are actually not required in the eukaryotes. Okay, so the transcription is completed actually in 3 steps: the initiation, the elongation and the termination. The initiation, in case of the initiation, the sigma factor recognizes the start signal and the promoter region on the DNA, which then along with the RNA polymerase bind to the promoter to initiate the transcription. If you go through the diagram in the book, the 3' end and the 5' end is that is the red strand is the template strand, and the sigma factor actually attaches with the coding strand, okay, and in the promoter region, and this initiates the process of transcription in case of prokaryotes. Okay, next coming to the elongation process, where the RNA polymerase, after the initiation of the RNA transcription, the sigma factor actually gets detached, and but the enzyme which was attached to the template strand continues the polymerization of ribonucleotides and forms the RNA, primarily the mRNA. Okay, and lastly the termination, when the RNA polymerase reaches the terminator region of the template strand of the DNA, the RNA polymerase is separated from the DNA RNA hybrid. Okay, and this results in the formation of a nascent RNA and finally gets separated. This process is called termination, but in case of prokaryotes, this process is facilitated by a termination factor, which is the Rho factor. So in case of prokaryotes, there are various RNA polymerase has many cofactors, as well as there is a initiation factor which is the sigma, and there is a terminator factor which is the Rho factor. Okay. Now in case of prokaryotes only, the mRNA does not require any processing. Since the template was polycistronic, the mRNA does not require any processing. So both transcription and translation takes place in the cytosol or the cytoplasm. So it can be said that the transcription and translation are coupled together in case of prokaryotes. Now, what is the basic difference? What does takes place in the case of eukaryotes? If you go through the eukaryotes, the structural genes are monocistronic in eukaryotes, and this process of transcription is more or less similar to that in prokaryotes. But the process of transcription in eukaryotes actually takes place in the nucleus. The coding gene sequences are called the exons, which forms the part of the mRNA, and the non-coding sequences are called the introns, which are removed during post-transcriptional modification. In case of eukaryotes particularly, there are three types of RNA polymerase which are found in the nucleus. The first one is the RNA polymerase 1, which transcribes the rRNAs, that is the 28S, 18S and the 5.8S. The RNA polymerase 2, which transcribes the precursor of mRNA. Precursor of mRNA, the mRNA is called mRNA itself when it is completely modified. But the unmodified mRNA is called the hnRNA, which is the heterogeneous RNA. Okay, that means what is heterogeneous RNA? The heterogeneous RNA is consists of the exons as well as the introns. Okay, and what is mRNA or the modified mRNA? The mRNA which has been processed and consists of only exons. Okay, now next and the last is the RNA polymerase 3, which actually transcribes tRNA, 5S rRNA and snRNA, which is the small nuclear rRNA. Now coming to the post-transcriptional modification. Only the eukaryotic RNA requires the post-transcriptional modification, where the primary transcripts are non-functional and contains introns, both the coding region exon and the non-coding region intron. And this I have told earlier also, this particular RNA is called the hnRNA or the heterogeneous RNA. There are three types of modification which actually takes place in case of post-transcriptional modification in eukaryotes. The first one is adenylation, the second is the capping, and third is the tailing. In case of adenylation, In case of adenylation, what happens? Yes, the hnRNA undergoes, in case of capping, an unusual nucleotide, the guanosine, methyl guanosine triphosphate is added to the 5' end of the hnRNA. And in case of tailing, the adenylate residues are around 200 to 300 base pairs are added at the 3' end in a template in an independent manner. This process is known as the polyadenylation. And the third is the splicing, where the introns gets cuts off and the exons gets joined, where the hnRNA undergoes a process where the introns are removed and the exons are joined from mRNA to form mRNA by the process of splicing. So there are 3 post-transcriptional modifications. The first one is the capping, second one is the tailing, which is also called the polyadenylation, and the last one is the splicing. Okay, so up to this today. We will continue with the chapter in my next video. Thank you.